Come on, people, let's get together and love one another right now. John Denver with the Mitchell Trio. This is what John Denver sounded like 23 years ago when he replaced Chad on the Chad Mitchell Trio. By that time, it was narrowed down to just the Mitchell Trio. But John spent about 3 years singing with a group, and at that time thought it was his biggest break ever in show business. Of course, a lot has happened since then. John will be in town this coming Wednesday night, making his first appearance at Wolf Trap, and we will be talking with John a little later. He will be one of our featured guests tonight, along with Steve Goodman. Steve Goodman's birthday is July the 25th. Steve would have been celebrating his 40th birthday tomorrow. From Ann Arbor, Michigan, we have the Chenille sisters. They're friends of Christine Lavin, so that should put you on guard and be aware. And also Nick Reynolds, one of the original members of the Kingston Trio, is celebrating a birthday on, is this Wednesday? Is it 27th July? He was born, get this, 1933. Oh, boy. Get the calculator out and figure this one out. Anyway, we have some new releases. We had a showcase this past Tuesday night, some exciting highlights from that. A few quizzes, lots of things to do tonight between now and 11:30. We hope you can stay with us. If there's a particular song you'd like to hear by one of our featured performers, you can give us a call at 984-6000, area code 301. Eric Anderson wrote that. I ain't never coming home. Sung by the Mitchell Trio with John Denver. As you know, John is coming to town Wednesday. John has a pattern which he appears in an area every other year. So it's Washington's time, and this time around for the first time at Wolf Trap. And we're kind of happy it's that occasion in that site because it's kind of nice. And it's pretty close to sold out, and if you call tomorrow, they'll let you know what the condition is. But it was a pleasure talking with John about a week, 10 days ago. He has been touring the world over in Europe and Australia, where he is a real number one star on Australian radio right now, and you'll find out why. And he had a little break, so home to the Rockies. And that's where we caught him, and he's getting all set to hit Washington on Wednesday. That's not the one we're supposed to have. Save her over there. All right, here's John, and he's got some big plans for us.
I think I've got a concert that's going to knock your socks off. I've been on the road since April. We did a sold-out tour of Europe, Japan, and Australia, and I've been home a week.
Oh, Australia, they say, went over very well.
I have a new album called Higher Ground on my own record label, Windstar Records. The only place that's been released so far is Australia. It's currently number 5 and went gold in 2 weeks.
Is there something going on over there that we don't know about, John?
Well, I think I had some help with it. One is I was over in Australia for their bicentennial celebration in January, and I've got an Australian lady who I'm going to marry later on this summer, and I'd written a song for her called For You, which we release in Australia as a single. And so that sort of set up the album, and then coming back on tour and all of that, that all works together.
Oh, seems to me I remember reading, did you postpone your wedding, or was...
Yeah, we did. There was first of all, the record was a big success, and then the album coming out and coming over on tour, and they were adding concerts and doing all this stuff for the press. They have as weird a press as anywhere as over in Australia, and I just got this feeling that I could not both have the quiet, private family wedding that I would like to have, that was going to turn into a zoo, and I didn't want to get married and go off and do another concert. So we decided to postpone things to later on this summer here in Colorado.
Mr. John Denver on vocal and 12-string guitar. It was quite something to see that combination. When Chad Mitchell left the Mitchell Trio, John was the first one who played a guitar on stage, and it was a 12-string guitar, no less. And that song, The Bells of Rimney, was John's solo number with the trio. And when they had a concert at Carnegie Hall in New York, and he performed that number, he got a 5-minute standing ovation. It was really very, very impressive. It was back in the mid-'60s we're talking about now. And, of course, the history of John Denver, especially during the 70s when he had so many hits and sold millions of albums and got all kinds of awards. In just a moment, we'll go back to our interview with John to talk about, why, what is it? There's something that has to motivate us to continue, and after you've won everything, and once you've been on top of the mountain, is there anything new? And we'll find out in just a moment. All right, let's get back to our interview with John Denver from the Rockies in Colorado.
John, it seems to me that your career, you're at this point, that you're busier today than ever before. Is that true?
I think so, yeah.
He's got a plane going by there?
Yeah, sorry, I'm sitting outside and...
Oh, describe what that scene is like.
Huh? Oh, there's going to be an air show on Saturday here, and this is an old biplane just took off, and he's got smoke coming out, and now he's calmed down a little bit.
So you're outside in the Rockies right now?
Yeah.
How's the weather?
Well, it's a little bit foggy today. It rained all night, and it's kind of cool, and there's drops in all the leaves. Everything is just green and glorious.
Sounds beautiful. John, I know that your career has covered a lot of different bases, and you've come, you've done so well. What motivates John Denver now to continue? I mean, you've got the gold records, you've got all the awards, the million sellers, the platinum albums, the #1 hits. What is it that makes it worthwhile now? Well,
I still love singing for people, first of all, and I'm still writing songs that I think are valid and valuable, I guess is the word. People who hear these new songs are loving them. They love the old songs. I still have seemingly a huge audience around the world who wants to hear me sing and do my concerts. And so I really give myself to all of that. It serves the thing I want most, which is to continue to be able to sing for people. And then around that, I think the thing that really adds to it is that throughout my career, and basically really beginning with the Mitchell Trio, there got to be the opportunity to be involved in a whole lot of things that have to do with what's going on in the world and that I care about and I find that other people really care about. I've had the opportunity to work in a lot of those areas, and I think to have some impact in a positive way on changes taking place in the world. And there's still an enormous opportunity for that. And what part of what it feels like for me is that the real world that I envision is not going to happen without everybody participating. And so as a catalyst for people to make a committed action to participate in what's going on in this world seems to be an opportunity that's there for me. And that's exciting.
On 94.7 WLITE, our relationship with John goes back many years. Meeting him for the first time when he replaced Chad Mitchell back in 1965, and we certainly enjoyed his tenure with that group because he would come to Washington. Washington fell in love with John, and John fell in love with Washington, so whenever he had a night off, he would come to town. Had a couple of friends here, a couple of songs written about those friends for Bobby, and leaving on a jet plane. A couple of women in the Washington area who know that those songs are written for them. So he was very close to Washington and vice versa. And we've watched his progress and have talked to him over the years, and he's still the same today as he was 20 years ago. And he has reached a point where he could very easily. He's got enough money. The next 5 generations of Denvers will probably not have to work if they don't want to. And he could very, very easily be sitting back watching things and going to celebrity the golfing matches and things like that, and just showing up as a guest now and then and really taking life easy. But he doesn't, it's not in him to do that, as he says he wants to perform, and he thinks that he can make a contribution in making the planet a little better place to live. And, of course, that brings a little ridicule and mockery and derision, but he continues that. And we're very happy that he'll be coming to town. He'll be here Wednesday for his first Wolf Trap concert. And we talked to him a few days ago from his home in Aspen, Colorado.
Okay, let me ask you just a couple more questions, John. I know, having been with you very briefly last fall, that you have one heck of a schedule, and you fly your own plane, and you can go from the East Coast to the West Coast, and I noticed you looking at your schedule one day of all the things you had to do, and you came from Charlotte, North Carolina to Washington, where you're going to be for a couple of hours, then you were going to go to New York, and then you had to go to California. How do you do it all?
I don't know. I'll tell you, I was a month in Europe, did a sold-out tour. The last concert was the second of concert in Amsterdam, and I got to bed, had about 4 hours of sleep, got up the next morning, flew from Amsterdam to London, got on the Concorde, flew to New York, got on my airplane, flew to Washington, met with people at NASA and with Secretary of State Schultz, and then flew back to a dinner meeting in New York. And, that's just how it goes.
Is that a typical day in the life of John Denver?
No, not very typical. that was a pretty strenuous and long one. But I'm involved in a lot of things, and it's a very exciting life. And I think feeling that both the excitement about some things you can get involved in, and where you feel there are you're making an impact, or you're making a difference, or you are accomplishing something. A lot of that is what keeps you going.
We mentioned we go back a long time with John, and we remember his appearances on the Music Americana Hootenannies held back in the 60s at the Cellar Door. Young lady who was in high school at the time. Another regular on the Hootenanny show was Emmylou Harris. And it was a few years ago that John and Emmylou got together to do a number on one of John's albums, and we'll get to that in just a moment. And we continue our conversation with John Denver just before we hear this next song. And you can't talk to John without having him answer one very important question that I'm sure has been at the very tip of your tongue right now. Here's our conclusion of our interview with John Denver.
And let me ask this one last question, John. How important is garlic in your diet?
Garlic? Well, I like garlic. I eat a lot of garlic whenever I can. For instance, I need some now to help me get rid of this cold.
Would you really take garlic?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'll have a couple of whole cloves of garlic today.
How do you take those cloves of garlic?
Well, either, make it with something or swallow it whole. If you chew it up, it's pretty hard to be around people.
You've noticed that?
Yeah.
In other words, if you have it with something else, maybe with a piece of bread or something?
Well, if you swallow it whole, it works differently. And it doesn't smell so much on your breath and through your pores. But if you're eating a lot of garlic, it's going to be with you to keep vampires away.
All right, so the best thing is to swallow it whole.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, that's good advice. I've noticed that garlic is coming back in a big way, and being brought up in an Italian neighborhood, was always big way back when I was a kid.
Good for you.
So I thought maybe I ought to take a closer look at it, and I know you're very health conscious, and watch those things. All right, John, I know you're on a very busy schedule, and I thank you for taking time out, and we look forward to seeing you at Wolf Trap in a few weeks.
I'm looking forward to that, too, Dick. And would you do me one favor?
Of course.
I just want to mention the WinStar Foundation and our symposium on choices for the future, the last weekend of August. A lot of what we've talked about is the things that I get involved in out and around the world, and for people to whom that is interesting, Where it comes from is the WinStar Foundation, and the best opportunity to get in touch with that is at our symposium on choices for the future. So I want to invite people to that. I think it's a great thing we have every year, and I'm hosting the event. We have some speakers coming from all over the world, and it should be great.
Well, is there a telephone number that somebody could call or an address they could write to?
Yeah, area code 800 number 426-2466, extension 385, and or at WinStar itself, 303 area code 927-4777, and our address. Where is our box here? Someplace.
Oh, just one of the mountains in the Rockies.
Yeah. 2317 Snowmass Creek Road, Snowmass, Colorado.
Give those numbers one more time.
2317 Snowmass Creek Road, Snowmass, Colorado.
All right. Got it.
Thanks for letting me do that.
All right, sir.
All right, sir.
We'll see you when you get here.
Bye.
Thank you, John. Bye-bye.